Full time in O'Connor Park in Tullamore, and it finishes Monaghan 111, Kildare 13 points. A wonderful result in the end for Monaghan. A fantastic finish, two dramatic late points, and Conor McCarthy ends up scoring that winner with the outside of his boot. What a worldy of a finish. A brilliant day for Monaghan, a devastating day for Kildare football. They done very well in the first half, like to come back after that early goal, and they certainly showed a lot of bright sparks. But ultimately for Kildare, they kicked just 2 points after the 42nd minute, and you just cannot win a game of Gaelic football, scoring just 2 points after 42 minutes. A very disappointing result for Kildare. On the bright side, they won't have to play in Croke Park again in 2023, so that's some good news at least for Kildare. But what a day for Monaghan football. What a result. They do it again. They fight back from the dead. Monaghan football never lies down, and they go into the All-Ireland quarterfinals as certainly a team that will be tricky enough to beat. Make no question about that one. So, yeah, this is the match reaction. Let's go. Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. I nearly fell into my old habit there of the last name. Checked myself very quickly, but there we go. Monaghan 111, Kildare 13 points. I suppose the opposite way around, really, with the fact that the game was in Tullamore. Obviously, a home game for Kildare by the book, not a home game by nature. Obviously, with Newbridge under construction, but yeah, there we go. Monaghan snatch the victory right at the death. 2 late points in injury time. One from Jack McCarron, another from Conor McCarthy. Conor McCarthy in general, fantastic performance from him, a goal and 2 points, which in the end proves to be the difference to get Monaghan over the line. From a Kildare perspective, to be honest with you, it was a very poor game. I don't think either side were, at their best. I think it was a lot more cagey than I expected. You were looking at it in the second half and you were thinking, does anyone want to win this game? Neither side were taking their opportunities. There was poor passes, a lot of turnovers, poor decision-making from both teams. I thought Kildare really played within themselves going into the final 10 to 15 minutes. They were far too conservative, and they were just trying to keep essentially what they had rather than putting the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And, Monaghan came back to bite them. Monaghan came back. I mean, obviously a lot of talk is going to be about the ref. I mean, there was a lot of very poor decisions, a lot of frees given Monaghan's way. But I think there was bad decisions in both ways. There was one instance where Kildare got a free towards the end of the game that didn't look a free in my opinion. There was a lot of odd decisions from the referee, very poor decisions from the referee. And look, Kildare fans can feel aggrieved obviously with some of the decisions that went against them, but I do think ultimately, I think they had the game there. You were in front going into injury time, and Kildare had possession on numerous occasions, and the game was there for them. The game was definitely there for them to win this. Poor shooting towards the end. Obviously, Derek Kirwan hits the crossbar. I mean, that is unlucky, in the end. But a few other chances for goals where the final pass just wasn't right, and it would, that would let themselves down. And ultimately, when Ben McCormick went off, they lost that threat. In that half forward line, and Kildare struggled from there on in to really create chances or try and sort of put this Monaghan team to bed. But, it took Monaghan a while in the second half to even get their first point of the second half. They didn't score their first point until the 46th minute. They went over, 20 minutes without scoring in total. I think Rory Beggan was the last point before that, maybe around the half-hour mark. And, Monaghan were certainly looked like they were there for the taking at one point. But Kildare didn't capitalise on it. And, one thing you always say about Monaghan football is that they don't lie down. They stay in the game, and they'll always give themselves a fighting chance. And in the end, that's what happened. That's what happened in the end. And from Kildare perspective, like it'd be, they'd be fairly disappointed, fairly devastated, and everything else. But at the same time, they just missed a couple of chances towards the end and didn't quite capitalize on it. But I think Kildare is a team that has a lot of potential. Under 20 players, obviously making the breakthrough. I think they are a team that can get to a quarter final or somewhere along them lines in the next couple of years. They just need to find a bit more consistency week in, week out in their performances. Because one thing you would say is that Monaghan, going into those final couple of minutes, Monaghan have been there time and time again, where they've been behind by a point or two and they've scored late winners. They've come back from the dead. They've done it time and time again. Whereas Kildare haven't. Kildare haven't been in this position too often where they have to see a game out. And you could see that a little bit where at times when they were attacking, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether they should keep the ball, go for goals, go for points. They were hitting chances short. They just looked a little bit lost out there. Mainly because I don't think they've been in this scenario too often, and haven't been, to see a game through. Other than last week, really, against Roscommon and, against Dublin in the Leinster Championship, really, that's the only times they've really been in a scenario like this all year. But look, they have great players. Jimmy Hoyland still has to come back into the team next year, you'd imagine. Neil Flynn was very good, 5 points. Alex Byrne, very good as well. And Kildare definitely are a county with, a lot of potential. I know, I kind of take the piss out of them every now and again, but, good bit of healthy rivalry between Kildare and Dublin, in fairness. But look, they do have the potential. And, that win over Roscommon last week very much proves that, very much does prove that, in my opinion. But just lacked that bit of edge in the final couple of minutes that Monaghan have from games built up over the years. And they managed to find an answer like they so often do at times in Division 1 and, at times in the All-Ireland series. And, brilliant performance like Jack McCarron with 3 points, missed a couple towards the end, but 3 points from him. Micheál Bannigan with 3. Conor McCarthy, obviously, with 1-2. Conor McManus comes on in the second half, doesn't score. Quite enough-ish performance from him, but I think it's a good thing from a Monaghan perspective that they're able to get over the line even without him being at his brilliant best, because that when you get to Croke Park, he probably will step up, in fairness. But yeah, Monaghan just had that edge, and as I said, like in the final 10-15 minutes, you were looking at it and thinking, does any team want to win this game? It wasn't a great game to watch. I don't even think GA Go wanted to watch the game either. I mean, the coverage was cutting out numerous occasions. I think they were trying to tell us not to watch it. But yeah, it's a hard one to take for Kildare. Like, they'll be devastated with that, like having led going into injury time. A bitter pill to swallow. But, Kildare need to find consistency going into next year. That needs to be the focus. That needs to be the aim. And, the more consistency, the better performances that they breed week in, week out, I think you will see Kildare be able to get over the line in these type of games. But Michael Murphy put it well in commentary. If you want to be a top 8 team, you have to take some of those chances towards the end that Kildare had. And it was just that poor shooting in the end that, in my opinion, let them down, because, Kildare were 3-4 points up at the start of the second half. There was a moment there where Monaghan looked like they were gonna go, and in fairness, they battled back, and you have to give them a lot of credit for that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Man of the match for me, I think, has to be Conor McCarthy. 1-2, very good from him. Ben McCormick was very good for Kildare, in fairness. But yeah, Monaghan get over the line. And what a season it's been for Vinnie Corey and for Monaghan. They stay up in Division 1 against all odds. And now they are in an All-Ireland quarter-final. And, look, it'd be tough for Monaghan to get to a semi-final, don't get me wrong. Obviously they can't play Derry, so they'd because of repeat parents, so they would have to play Armagh, Dublin, or Kerry. So look, those would be tough games. But Monaghan are a good side. They're a tough team to beat. One thing we know about them is that they will not lie down, and there's certainly more to come from this Monaghan side. So yeah, we'll wrap this up here. Cheers to anyone who tuned in, and let me know your thoughts on the game. What were your thoughts? Who was your man of the match? Everything else. And we'll speak to you soon.